Today we are going on a journey from the swamps of sub-Saharan Africa, through the mangroves of the Indian subcontinent, all the way to the frozen Arctic. 6 animals. 6 case studies in learned, deliberate human predation. Let's get into it. The saltwater crocodile. The saltwater crocodile doesn't just ambush prey. It studies schedules. There are documented cases in northern Australia and Papua New Guinea of individual saltwater crocodiles learning the daily routines of people who regularly visited the same riverbank. A fisherman who checks his nets at 6 every morning. A woman who collects water from the same point every evening. These crocodiles have been observed positioning themselves at that exact location, ahead of time, and waiting. Crocodiles are capable of associative learning, linking a specific stimulus, like the sound of footsteps at a particular time, to a reward. Researchers have documented them altering their resting positions based on where they expect prey to appear, based on patterns observed over days or weeks. In one case from the Solomon Islands, a crocodile killed 3 members of the same family over 2 months, each time at the same location near the village water source. Wildlife officers concluded the animal had identified that bank as a reliable food source and simply kept returning. It had a mental map of where humans go, and a strategy for exploiting it. The polar bear. Most bears attack humans defensively. The polar bear is categorically different. It is the only bear species that will actively stalk a human as prey. And when it decides to stalk you, what it does first is watch. Documented cases from Svalbard, Nunavut, and coastal Alaska describe polar bears spending hours surveilling campsites before making a move. They approach downwind. They use ice ridges and snowbanks for cover. They wait until the moment of maximum vulnerability. In 2011 in Svalbard, a group of British students set up a tripwire perimeter around their camp. A polar bear spent over an hour watching from just outside that wire before attacking. It killed 1 person and injured 4 others. Investigators noted it had chosen the angle with the least visibility and had waited until most of the camp was asleep. That is not random behavior. That is a hunt. Indigenous Arctic communities have known this for thousands of years. The Inuit have a different word for a bear that has learned to hunt people versus one that wandered into camp by accident. Because experienced communities know the difference between an animal that stumbled upon you and one that was watching you first. We are only at number 5 and already we are dealing with a predator that uses terrain, timing, and concealment the way a professional would. Stay with me, because what is coming at number 1 involves a level of learned behavior that genuinely shocked the scientific community. The leopard. In urban India, leopards have entered buildings, walked through corridors, and left with victims. This has happened multiple times. And what makes it possible is something deeply unsettling. These animals have learned that humans are not as alert as other prey. We are slower to process threats at night and in familiar surroundings. Our sense of safety is their greatest weapon. Man-eating leopards do not attack in open terrain. They attack inside homes, inside sheds, on narrow paths where escape is impossible. They have been documented entering the same household more than once, suggesting they learn the layout, the routines, and the points of entry. In rural Maharashtra, a leopard entered a home, took a child, left through the same window, and returned to that exact location 3 nights later. Wildlife officers confirmed the animal had come back to inspect the site. It had associated that location with a successful hunt. And it came back to try again. The leopard of Paner killed over 400 people in northern India in the early 1900s. What made it uniquely terrifying was not just the body count, it was that the animal changed territories frequently to avoid detection. As if it understood that staying in one place too long was dangerous. That is not instinct. That is strategy. The tiger. Around a third of all tiger attacks on humans globally occur in one place, the Sundarbans mangrove delta between India and Bangladesh. The tigers here are not attacking out of starvation or injury. They are hunting humans as a regular part of their diet. Researchers tried a deterrent, face masks worn on the back of workers' heads, based on the theory that tigers always attack from behind and won't strike if they think they're being watched. For a short time, it worked. And then the tigers figured it out. The Sundarbans tigers began attacking workers from the front. They had identified the masks as a deception and adapted. When electrified dummies were placed in the forest, some individual tigers showed elaborate testing behaviors, probing the dummy before committing to an approach. This is a species that encounters an obstacle, fails, processes the failure, and adjusts. For human hunters, We call that learning. Everything we've covered, the ambush timing, the stalking, the urban infiltration, the mass deception, has been building to two animals that sit at the absolute outer edge of what we know about learned predatory behavior. Number 2 and number 1 are in a different category entirely. The bull shark. The great white gets the headlines. But the bull shark is the species that causes the most alarm within the scientific community, and the reason is memory. Bull sharks survive in both salt and fresh water, frequenting the same shallow bays and river mouths where humans swim and fish. Studies in Florida, the Ganges Delta, and South African river systems have shown that the same individual animals return to the same attack sites across multiple seasons. They are not wandering. They are navigating back to specific coordinates associated with available prey. Tagging data from the Indian River Lagoon in Florida showed a large bull shark making repeated visits to the same stretch of water over 3 consecutive summers, the same stretch where 2 attacks had occurred. And unlike great whites, which typically bite and release, bull sharks are persistent. When a bull shark has identified you as prey, it continues. That persistence is the hallmark of an animal that has made a decision, not a mistake. The Nile Crocodile, Gustave. Everything I've told you so far has been disturbing. What I'm about to tell you is in a different category entirely. Because the case of Gustave, a Nile crocodile operating in Burundi for at least 3 decades, is not generalized learned behavior. It is something that looks from every angle we can analyze it, like individual targeting. Gustave was first identified in the late 1990s near Lake Tanganyika. Conservative estimates put his kill count at around 60 people. He was enormous, over 6 meters, covered in bullet scars, with a dark patch on his skull from a failed military attempt to kill him. Multiple capture operations were launched. Every single one failed. Here is what makes Gustave different from everything else on this list. He was documented passing over easier prey, fish, antelope, smaller crocodiles, to pursue human targets. This is not desperation. This is not opportunism. Researchers concluded that Gustave had developed something behavioral ecologists consider deeply significant, a preference. When an animal consistently chooses one prey type over others when both are available, that is learned, reinforced behavior. He was never caught. As of the last confirmed sighting in the mid-2000s, he was still operating in the same stretch of river. Whether he is still alive today, Nile crocodiles can live 70 to 80 years, nobody knows. But somewhere in that river system, there may be an animal that has spent decades refining its approach to hunting human beings. An animal with more experience hunting us than most humans have being alive. If that doesn't keep you up at night, I don't know what will. 6 animals. 6 documented cases of adaptation, learning, and in one case, specialization. From a crocodile that memorized a fishing schedule, to a polar bear that used the darkness as cover, to an individual Nile crocodile that may have spent a lifetime developing a preference for human prey. The natural world is not passive. It is full of minds, some of them working on problems we don't even realize we've set them. Which of these 6 disturbed you the most? Tell me in the comments. And if you think I missed one, I want to hear that too.